surprised was Canadian author Stephen Marche, who has been predicting a second American Civil War for some time. He characterizes what he thinks is coming in his new book, The Next Civil War, Dispatches from the American Future. And with that, we welcome Stephen Marche back to our program from Seton Village in Ontario's capital city. Stephen, it's good to see you again. How are you doing?
Good to see you too.
Let's start by me putting to you a quote that is in your book. This is from retired U.S. Army Colonel Peter Mansour, who said, "It would not be like the first Civil War, with armies maneuvering on the battlefield," he says. "I think it would very much be a free-for-all, neighbor on neighbor, based on beliefs and skin colors and religion, and it would be horrific." Well, that certainly sets the scene. And my first question for you is, how much, in your view, did Donald Trump's presidency contribute to your sense of an impending civil war?
Very little, to be honest. I think one of the aspects of this book is trying to get below the sort of horse race politics that dominates coverage. What Marjorie Taylor Greene's Twitter feed is saying, or what Ted Cruz did or didn't do on Fox News. And Donald Trump, of course, was the master of that kind of, aggressive politics. The trends here are really deep. I think the thing I found really hardest to explain, particularly to liberal Americans, is that I believe everything in this book would have happened if Hillary Clinton had been elected in 2016.
Okay, that's a fascinating insight. But let me put it this way. I'm a lot older than you, and I was alive for the assassinations of Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy. You don't have to rub it in. But anyway, I do remember when political assassination, when political assassination seemed far too frequent. It was horrific. And yet America did not descend into a civil war at that time, even though it sure looked like it might happen. Why do you think what we're seeing today could lead to worse?
Well, the 60s were very dramatic, and there were, of course, major conflicts, and 140 cities burned after the assassination of MLK. And political assassination is very common in American history. Basically 1 out of 11 presidents have been assassinated, a little less now. But to compare that, Britain has only had 1 prime minister assassinated. So, as one Secret Service agent said to me, assassination is part of the political process in the United States. What's changed now, what's different from the 60s, is that the institutions are no longer prepared to deal with the fallout from violence. So you don't have the same legitimacy of the political institutions. You don't have the same legitimacy in the legal institutions. If you take an event like Watergate, in hindsight, that was evidence of the system working. You had a press that investigated corruption. You had an audience that believed the press. You had politicians who then needed to respond to the mass sense of corruption. And then from that, you had, political legal action from both parties. None of that would happen today. That's why America is so much more vulnerable. It's because its institutions are in decline.
Now, it seems to me back in the day, the biggest cleavage in the United States, or one of them anyway, was sort of left versus right. And today, it feels to me, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree, it seems to me the biggest cleavage is sane versus insane. Does that make civil war more likely?
Yes, but it's really important to remember that your sane and the other side's sane are totally opposites, right? They also regard the insanity as taking over, but from the other side. You have people who are in complete disagreement about basic facts, about the basic role of government, about what freedom means. And ultimately, what this civil war is about, or will be about, is about the meaning of America. And that struggle kind of is permanent. So, yeah, I think it's not a debate over policy. It's a debate about very, very fundamental questions about the nature of, the country itself.